when I started school, I didn't even know how I was going to make money. At one point, it was quite an interesting point. Maybe school was losing like 300-ish grand a month.
When you share this, it gives so much more context for people that it was losing 300,000 a month, right? Like, because most people probably
Oh,
look
it's
at
been up to 700 grand a month.
700.
Or close to a mil at some points. It feels like what I'm supposed to do, and the longer I do it, the more things seem to align to like clear a path for it to happen, right? There's just certain things that happen, like you could call them coincidences or serendipity, whatever. There's just a lot of like blind faith, I guess, and things do seem to be moving in favor of it. This was my first like computer. This is pre-Google. And from the very first moment I touched a computer, it was honestly like kind of meant to be, I think. But even back then, I was just doing it because I loved it.
Why did you go with Hormozi? What made you be interested in him? What did you see in
Well, you
him?
just I'd hear about him all the time, like people saying, Hormozi said this, Hormozi said that, Hormozi's new book, Hormozi's law. I mean, Hormozi's launch was really the thing I was like, whoa, everyone is like tuned into this. So I haven't seen that happen before. And so I was like, well, I want to use that, and we're like perfect partnership because you can't do both. I sacrificed all like content online to build this. And so it's a perfect partnership.
I think a lot of people watching this aren't as much beginners, so they would maybe be people making 10K a month, 20, 30, 50 that want to scale to 100 or scale from 100K plus more. What would be a few like pillars that you would recommend them to focus if you started again in today's marketplace?
Now that you're making me think about it, it's
okay. Hi, Sam. Welcome. It's very, very great to have you here.
thanks.
Of course. The first thing I wanted to ask is obviously nowadays you are the founder and the CEO of Skool, and it's a company that's definitely going to be worth billions and billions of dollars, and it already has millions of users, and I'm sure it's gonna cross the 1 billion mark as well. It's just a matter of time. But I think that what most people don't realize is that when you started, it wasn't easy, right? Like when you were first wanted to make money online or you wanted to become an entrepreneur. I think you told this story that you didn't even know what the word entrepreneur meant, so you had to Google it. I'm really curious when you nowadays, I don't know, work or like, you wake up sometimes or you wander at night. Do you ever look back and remember those days? And is it a little bit kind of like strange or weird or interesting that you got to this position? Or do you now like look at it as something normal, as a part of life that now you are this founder, that what you do has such a big impact? Does it like ever cross your mind really? Is it like weird, the huge transformation you made, or did it become normal?
Yeah, I think it always becomes normal, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But I try not to think about things like that too much because there's always so much to do, you
Yeah.
know? Like there's always problems and there's always the ways to improve and there's always like exciting projects. And so, you're mostly looking forward and excited to do the next thing. I guess there's like milestones and things every now and then that it's kind of cool. And in the rare moments where I have like thought back, I do realize how stupid I was, which is kind of funny. Um, like just there's a vast amount of like experience needed and like lessons to be learned in things.
No, it's a great answer. I think it makes sense. And the reason I was curious about this is because I think that most people underestimate, right, the level of transformation that it takes to go from where you were to now running this huge company that has an impact, which is really cool to see. And I think sometimes people like forget that you are a human. That's why I wanted to start with this question, because they just look at this guy like Sam Ovens. They think he's just like always has been this way, or like, of course, you had some strengths and some talent in what you do now that you saw early signs of probably. But I think like when people realize that when they look at other people that are successful, like they changed a lot. These people, they weren't always like that. It kind of inspires them that they can make a big transformation as well. So I think your story is really, really beautiful, because a lot of people make money, right? Or like they are worth a lot of money, whatever. But there are very few people that are so dedicated to their work and what they do, and they find something really purposeful that creates a movement, like Skool, for example. How many companies there are, like the code-to-code competitors, that yes, they might be making money or whatever, but like that community feeling around the brand, that movement, that connection, a really impact that Skool has on people. I think it's really cool. So I think that's why I wanted to mention this, because your success isn't just like financial, it's across the board, the impact, the financial success, the vision, the people, how many people Skool already helped or connected. And it's good to realize that you can go from someone that doesn't know what the word entrepreneur is, right? Although you had some other, of course, skills and you were always smart, to now and the growth that you have had. So that's really cool. And could you maybe discuss a little bit, like, because most people look at this and probably like they don't see everything, like they don't understand what it took, most likely. And I know that you always look forward, and we're gonna talk about it today. But could you share, if I don't know if you ever shared it, but any hard moments or like any examples that you can give people to what it took to go from that Sam Ovens, the first version, to the Sam now? Like, for example, I know that while building Skool, I think you shared during a podcast. If it's not something public, we can not share this part, but I think you shared that your business and personal bank account like went down to almost 50,000 or something when it used to be way more. So maybe, I don't know, can you talk about that, or maybe other moments, to just help people, to give them some context that it's not easy and what it actually takes to operate at the level that you operate?
Yeah, so I think time is the main thing, right? So like, I've been working like 12 hours a day, 6 days a week for a very long time. Like how many, like maybe it's 15 years or something. But the first five, I don't think I was this good at working really. So maybe only for 10 I've done it with that kind of intensity. Um, Time is the main thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? You just to get good, like, and I think accurate expectations are, are very important because I don't think like no one ever gets good just doing something a little bit like, and I think it's just a lot of time and a lot and like years and just like grinding on it for a very long time. And I think most people get scared of that and they're like, oh, that sucks, or oh, that why would you want to do that? Well, that's why really loving the work you're doing is so important because
Mm-hmm.
then it's not actually like a grind and it's fulfilling. Um, yeah, so there's that part of it. And I honestly think that's the main part because if you do that, the other stuff kind of sorts itself out, like the money side and everything, right? Because if you're very talented and you're building something cool, people will come forward and help you, like investors, customers, whatever. Um, but yeah, there's also the financial side. You can't ignore it. Um, I used to say balls and math, like you need both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and so, the numbers are super important. You can't like run out of money. Um, yeah, and so when I started school, I didn't even know how I was going to make money. And then, I was funding it with another business, but then, I needed to put more time into it. I couldn't run the other business, and then our costs were growing, and the other business couldn't even fund the costs of this business. And, there's been multiple times where I get stuck, like because I need more time and I need more money, and you don't have either, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, like I at one point it was quite an interesting point. I school was losing maybe school was losing like 300-ish grand a month.
Mm-hmm.
And my other business, my like mastermind and things I was
Mm-hmm.
doing,
Mm-hmm.
it was making about 300 grand a month. And that was kind of good because it balanced it out. but I was putting time in there and I needed to put more time in here. And to shut that down, we would be going from kind of break even to like losing 300 grand a month. But also to shut it down, I had to refund the
Mm-hmm.
members in the mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that refund was like 1 million or something. So it was like, in order to get the time, I had to refund a little bit over $1 million and sacrifice 300 grand a month and just go into some burn. Um, those are the kinds of choices that are quite challenging, but also if you like do them, often those are the things that lead to a breakthrough. Um, and so, I just kind of did this math and figured out, can I bridge this gap? Because if I focus on it fully, how fast can I figure out how to make up for that? And it turned out to be like a great choice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I honestly might in hindsight might have been putting that off for too long.
Mm-hmm. Going
So
all in on school.
yeah, balls and math,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? That took both.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, I think I learned this very early on because I was doing my degree at university
Mm-hmm.
in business. I also had like an internship at a company, like a corporate company, so which could have turned into a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also on the side, like building an app and dabbling in being an entrepreneur. And I didn't do well at any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was kind of not really present at my job. I was struggling to be present at university, and my app was struggling too. But I was like hedging my bets, right? It was like, oh, if my app doesn't work, then at least I've got my job. And if that doesn't work, then at least I got my degree kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't till I just burned my bridges. Like I dropped out of university and I quit my like internship job thing and just went all in on entrepreneurship. But I did move back home with my parents and things to cut back on costs. So I've kind of learned this pattern from the very beginning, which is like keep your costs low, keep your life simple, and you sometimes need to take leaps of faith. Um, and being all in. Yeah.
Yeah, very good answer. No, I think that when you share this, it gives so much more context for people that it was losing 300,000 a month, right? Like, because most people probably
Oh,
look
it's
at
been up to 700 grand a month,
700
or close to 1 mil at some points. Like,
in a month.
but yeah, I
That's
know how to
that's
lose
great.
some money.
Yeah, no, and then you know how to get it back. So it's both ways. But that's really cool. And you know why this is interesting is because when most people look at this, like I think it will give them a different level of appreciation of what you do. Is because who does this? Like who would be making hundreds of thousands amount of profit, like have a good reputation, good client results that you had, right? And decide to do this. Is that most people want they want the view, but they don't want the climb, as Hormozi says. It's the same principle here. And I think you sharing more sites, more things like this, it's really powerful. Like, is it a secret
Yeah, I
of
think I
like,
only want the climb, honestly.
yeah, really? Okay.
Well, honestly, by the time I finish a lot of things, I'm like bored.
Oh,
It
that's
reminds me
actually
a
very
lot.
interesting.
There's this guy in New Zealand called Graham Hart, and
Hmm.
likes, he's got some like really cool super yachts.
Hmm.
But by the time he's built it,
Hmm.
he doesn't really like using it that much, and he often just sells it.
Hmm.
It's the process of designing it and building it that he actually likes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm kind of similar in that way. Like I really like the process of building and designing and yeah.
Very good. Yeah, the man who likes walking will walk further than the man who likes the destination, kind of. But that's really interesting that we are sharing this, is because yeah, that's why you're winning, is because you like building, you like the process. Because anyone else would stop, right? They would have quit long ago. Like there are so many probably challenges or things or hardships that happened till this point that most people would stop, and maybe irrationally so, right? Maybe so, and you care about it so much and the process that you keep going. That's really interesting. Okay, is it a secret? If no, if yes, you don't have to share. Like how much total it cost you to kind of fund school before the first investors or before the first, yeah,
At least 10 mil.
10 million. Yeah.
At least, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. But again, and coming back to the present and to the future, I think it worked out pretty well. So that's the most important thing. So that's really really cool. And also, we covered the money, but also what you went over as well was the time. It's like for most people, it's hard to even work 1 week, 12 hours a day, right? 6 days a week. And for you to do that, you said for at least 10 years. That's really crazy. And do you think it's like this is maybe a little bit philosophical question. I don't know how much you want to get into that stuff, but do you think like it was destined to happen or like it was fate or something? Or do you believe in free will, let's say? Do you think that there was a way for you to not get here, or just knowing you and your unique combination of genes and what you wanted to do and what you love, it was like it was inevitable for you to get to where you're right now? What's your own opinion on this?
I think it's what I'm supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think that it would have been inevitable because if I didn't work very hard on it, it would absolutely not happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wouldn't be very hard to make this
Mm-hmm.
fail. Yeah. So it feels like what I'm supposed to do, and the longer I do it, the more things seem to align to like clear a path for it to happen, right? Which is there's just certain things that happen, like you could call them coincidences or
Mm-hmm.
serendipity, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when you're starting out on something, especially as far back as when I was starting out in school, you don't even know who you're going to be competing with or what the
Yeah.
market's going to look like, or if people are even going. You don't even really know what you're building in a way. And so, there's just a lot of like blind faith, I guess. And things do seem to be moving in favor of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there is like a feeling I've got that this is what I'm supposed to do. My wife kind of felt the same thing too. Um, but yeah, it's definitely not like this is just inevitable. If I stop showing up, it would fail pretty quick.
That's a great answer. The reason I asked is because there is this quote that says, you can do what you will, but you cannot will what you will, right? So kind of you're saying that yes, but do you think, and I know that this is a completely theoretical question, so you probably don't know, so it's more of a like just your opinion, but I understand that if you didn't work this hard, this wouldn't happen. But the question is, could you not work this hard for this? That's the question. Wasn't it harder to not work hard than to work hard for you? Looking back.
Um, I I don't know.
Yeah, I
Like
know it's a
I
hard
try
question.
not to think about things like this, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
No, I think my perspective is that you couldn't. Like it's because why most people you couldn't not do it,
But
basically.
my perspective is who cares?
Yeah, true. That's true.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, interesting. Yeah. The main thing is that that you got here. That makes sense. But yeah, again, no one cares, but I think just like it's my opinion that it kind of was supposed to happen, and I think that's what you are. I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I think that's what kind of you are saying, that you feel that this is what you are supposed to do. I think that's kind of what it is, that whatever that is what got you here. Because if you didn't, like if you didn't want this enough, then you would just stop for a very long time ago, but again, I agree with you. Who cares? You are here, you achieved it, and now that the focus on is on what's next. And on this question, do you think that like it's a trait of successful people that they never stop and they always look like forward? For example, if you were someone that reflected too much about those things, then maybe after you made your first $1 million or $10 million, you would just stop, and it's always for you, like you're gonna keep going because you like the process, you enjoy what you do. Do you think it's like expected of successful people, like from what you have seen, because you have worked with a lot of clients when you had the consulting company, and you probably have seen a lot of successful people in your life. Do you think all of them or most of them are that way? Like no matter what they accomplish, it's always about what's next, what's better, and that drive is always there to keep going.
I think
Or do you
so.
think it's
Like,
possible to do both, like to kind of appreciate or like have gratitude or look back, and also at the same time, or no, you need to be dissatisfied a little bit all the time to for you to have the motivation.
see, I don't really see it like that, where it's like
Hmm.
dissatisfaction is, because
Okay.
that's a very negative way that's
Hmm.
driving, right? It's more like I'm excited
Mm.
to make it better
Okay.
because I use it myself. There's
Hmm.
little things about it that frustrate me. There's things I've wanted to add to it for since I started it like 5 years ago. So
Hmm.
it's just personal excitement,
Hmm.
not dissatisfaction. And there's definitely gratitude.
Hmm.
It's just not gratitude that means that I should just stop for a little bit and like just be grateful. It's more
Hmm.
like I'm very grateful that we now have the resources, like the talent and the team and the money to take on the next challenge. Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, that's an interesting. Could you say, would you say that like, and I think that it's you are right because that would be my opinion on looking at you that you love this and you're excited. But at the same time, wouldn't you say there might be some, I don't know if dissatisfaction is the right word, but like some dissatisfaction that the product isn't as good as you envision it, kind of. Or no, it's just that no, you are excited to make it that good. Although I think it probably doesn't matter as much, but really curious.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I do think the positive ones are quite um I do think they're more motivating, honestly,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
at least for me. But I
Mm-hmm.
do think for like everyone in general, like if you're trying to lead a good culture by fear and negative
Mm-hmm.
emotions, like good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Were you always like that? Were you always
talented people,
motivated?
you
Mm-hmm.
can't force them and like
Mm-hmm.
to work hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not going to tolerate that because they can work wherever the hell they want. So the only way to really get people motivated is to make it fun and
Mm-hmm.
fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you mean was I always like that?
Yeah, were you, so let's say when you started like your first business or when you were growing consulting.com, like was it also the love of it, or at that stage there was more of like hating not having options or living where you don't want to live, or like even just the thought of being at a 9 to 5 and you wanted to be full time on something? Like, would you say it's when you start, you for you at least, was it more of the negative energy and over time it translated to positive, or were you always motivated with the love of what you do?
The only times I've done well is when I've loved
Mm,
doing what I do.
mm,
Generally, all the problems come when I'm like
mm.
not motivated, yeah, or doing it for like negative reasons or something.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, I think it's you are right. Like just when you even shared that you like the climb more than the view, right? It's kind of proof of that that you just like the process and building things and doing something that feels exciting. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and there's even
So
this photo I've got which I've like
mm-hmm.
I keep on my desktop to look at like all the time because
Okay.
it was quite helpful for me when I was trying to figure out like what do I love, like what am I good at, like what is my thing. And I'd talk to my parents and look back through old photos and stuff and just think back through my life experience. And this was my first like computer.
Mm-hmm.
And, I got it connected to the internet. This is pre-Google. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like you can see the old school phone and CDs and things. Um, but you can see I've got like my arm around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, people don't usually do that with their computer. Their computer
Mm-hmm.
isn't something that they hug. But I was on this thing all the time. And from the very first moment I touched a computer, it was honestly like kind of meant to be, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just have experienced the whole internet since
Mm-hmm.
pre-Google. But even back then, I was just doing it because I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, just messing around with the computer and the internet and finding like subcultures and communities and different things people are obsessed about,
Yeah.
that well, I would do that even if I didn't get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've always been doing that. So, going to make an app and then to like start making money online and helping other people do it and then to make this, it's all just kind of a natural progression of that. Um, it's just that, back then I thought of it more, and everyone did, more of a distraction than an act than what could become my career, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm screwing around on computers or building race cars or whatever, and I'm not doing my homework, I'm not studying, I'm not trying to get a better grade at university.
Yeah.
And parents and teachers think that that's not good. It's not paying me either. I'm actually spending all my money on it. Um, but sometimes the distraction is the answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen you talk about it. It's actually very good. I thank you for sharing that picture. It's what year was that? It was 1990s, right?
I don't know the exact year, but it was pre-Google.
Okay.
And so it's got to be before 1995.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I wasn't even born, basically, and you already loved computers.
I've
That,
been I've
yeah,
been obsessing about these things for a long time.
yeah, yeah. And that's kind of what ties to what I spent. Um, like I asked you a couple minutes ago. We won't get into it again, but about like, could you not do that? And kind of this is kind of an answer because again, you can see that it was kind of in you, right? Like your just love of doing this is so obsessive. Is that I think it was just there, and that's what, of course, like if you actively try to not work hard or like if you didn't want to achieve it, of course, it took some decisions, choices, sacrifices,
I
but
could
I
definitely
think.
not work hard. That wouldn't
Mhm.
be hard.
Oh, really?
I
You
would
think you
just,
can?
well, it's a
Okay.
choice to build this versus
Mm.
just participate on it, right?
Mm. Okay. Yeah, no, that's true.
I was just participating on it before,
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I can effortlessly do that. But if you're making a choice to build it for
Mm-hmm.
everyone, I mean, shit, there's a whole nother thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, no, that's really beautiful, and
But
I
it would
agree
be
about
very easy for me not to work very hard.
very easy.
Shit, yeah. I mean,
Oh, seriously, it's like you won't be bored knowing you. Like if you do nothing for 6 months, let's say.
well, it's not nothing. I just might not be working. I might be doing something else.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
cool, interesting. Yeah, no, I
I would just
think.
get a project like I'd build a race car or
Mm,
learn how to fly a seaplane or something. And
mm-hmm.
I would just
Interesting.
find something. Like
Mm-hmm.
I like to make things and tinker with things.
Mm-hmm. That's actually
Hmm.
interesting, and I think I see your point now. That like you like building, but who says that you had to build this? No, you could build other things. Would you say then if someone finds what they love, would you recommend to most people to like have a bigger goal? Because like I think it's gonna, I don't know, some people say this, Hormozi say this, I don't know if you agree with this or no, that it takes sometimes the same amount of time or work to build a big thing or a small thing. You still are gonna have problems, be depressed some days, don't want to work, have ups, downs, even if you work on something small or big. So would you say if you find something that you like doing, let's say building, you are probably gonna equally like building smaller things or like in your case, something big like school? Or you would say no, it's more nuanced. Maybe building something big is harder, so then it's not the path for everyone, for example. But that I understand that you would recommend people to do what they love. So let's say they find they like building, okay, cool. What about like would you say it's a still looking back at your life, your advice to your younger self or to anyone that is ambitious would be if you found what you like, just see how big can you think in realistic boundaries.
Well, it's kind of complicated, more complicated than just do what you love. But I think there's definitely something to that, which is like
Mm.
if you don't love it, you're probably going to quit and
Mm-hmm.
then you're not going to succeed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like if I became a lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
I hate looking at
Yeah.
legal contract and paperwork.
Who
So,
loves it?
when I say I've worked very hard for a long time, some people might be like, I could never do that, but I could never do that kind of work. Even 1 hour is excruciating for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the type of work changes everything. But I bet you
Mm-hmm.
those same people that are like, oh, I could never work that hard, they're probably like they might be playing Counter-Strike
Mm-hmm.
for the same amount of hours.
Mm-hmm.
They just are thinking of it, what they think is work, like and distraction. Like, what if the distraction was the work is right? Um, so what was your
What
question?
about thinking big? Like, would you say that?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you it's kind of complicated too, because I like to make things. Like I used to build race cars
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. But I didn't know you could translate those skills to something else. And I also liked computers, but just making race cars was not making money.
Mm-hmm.
Just screwing around on the internet or playing with computers wasn't making money. But you can apply those skills of like building and making things and solving problems to like the field of the internet, which like and technology and computers. Then and then you need the entrepreneurship side too, which is like you've got to be solving a problem. There's got to be a market. There's some numbers there, obviously. And so like it's at the core there's passion, and at the core you're working naturally with your strengths, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's nuance to making it like commercially successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I think is if you can work with those things, um, and yeah, because when I think back, like I was a psycho about like optimizing things. Like
Mm-hmm.
with my race car stuff, I would be like stripping as much weight as possible from the car, like looking at every place that I like, can I remove
Mm-hmm.
this thing? Can I take that out? Can I strip
Mm-hmm.
that? I loved cutting weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved like trying to squeeze more performance out of it in any different way. And you find these clever ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do the same thing in business. I love to cut weight, right? Weight is like complexity,
Mm-hmm.
overhead, cost. Any chance I can, I love to cut it. I like to be very light. And then performance too. You're trying to squeeze performance. So
Mm-hmm.
optimizing things. And then when I'd play Counter-Strike and stuff, I'd like try and benchmark every ISP for ping, like latency and things, and I would find the best one. And then I would find like the best router, the best like DNS settings, and then I'd use Ethernet, and I'd even put the router close to the port on my wall and make sure that that one on the wall was closest to the connection to the phone line. And then
Yeah.
I tore down my whole computer and
Mm-hmm.
rebuilt it all back up, like water cooled everything, just to get that little edge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that I was doing even without getting paid. So like that should be my approach to business, for example.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's what I mean by like work with your passion,
Yeah.
right? Like I have to be making something. I will not be happy doing services for certain. And it has to be very complicated, otherwise I'll get bored.
Mm-hmm.
And there has to be
Interesting.
so much room for like optimization.
Mm.
Um, and it almost has to
Interesting.
be unfathomably hard that I can almost never quite figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because that way I can never like master it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because at that point you get bored. Then, well, I get bored. But then
Mm-hmm.
the other part of your question was around like big size.
Mm-hmm.
That people should set like some people should really think about what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Because I swear most people are they just want to like work from home and have a good lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true. I think that, and I don't even think they're wrong in doing that. Like, what is wrong with that?
Nothing. Yeah, if that's their goal, why not?
Yeah, like most people want to have families, and
Yeah.
when you want to have a family, you kind of want to own a house because it's stable, and you want to spend a lot of time with your children, and you want to hang out with your friends,
Hmm.
and so that means that you don't want to like work like a psychopath,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
you also don't want to deal with stress all the time, which,
Hmm.
and so I think a lot of people torture themselves by like really they want that, but they've like watched too many motivational videos or some shit and they think they want to be they think they want to like do something crazy and like and
Hmm.
they're torn between the two, right?
Hmm.
So if you're just more realistic or honest with yourself about what you really want, like let's say you just want a good lifestyle and to do work that's meaningful, maybe you only need to make like 10, 20, 30 grand a month or something, right? And then you can build a very different business that's very low stress. You can do that with no employees, working not many hours a week without even being stressed.
Hmm.
If you want to build something like this, fuck,
Hmm.
it's a whole nother thing. Like you're going to be stressed as hell and it's really hard. And there's a lot of sacrifices that need to be made.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So this
It's a great
is the
answer.
lifestyle. This isn't,
Hmm.
I'm not building school for a lifestyle. This is
This
my,
is the lifestyle. Yeah. But you also
yeah,
do have a family, though, to be fair. You have family, you have kids, you have good relationships with people, you have great relationships with people that you work. So it's kind of a combining the social factor, probably. I know that you like working with the people that you work with, as far as I know. So, like, and you're also building something big. So that's what's interesting about it. But yeah, no, I think it's a great answer. You know what stood out to me when you were talking? You said you covered a lot of things. That was very good. But one of them was you said, "Oh yeah, and I also like complicated things because if they're not complicated enough, I get bored." And I think that was a great detail that you kind of revealed there because you actually like that. Maybe you like complicated things, so that means that you probably should build big things because they will be more complicated. So actually, in a very weird way, it will make you like it more, right? Or be less bored. So maybe that's the answer, at least like how I think. If someone likes what they do, but they don't like complexity or they can't handle stress or they just want to enjoy more simpler things, maybe they just need to do what they love and as you said, minimize like the overhead, right? The downside, and just live a simple life and just enjoy it. And if someone um, has stress tolerance, or maybe they also are pretty, I don't know if intellectual is the right word, but like they just like complex things. They like that. Maybe they should build something big. Would you say that's a good takeaway or
you can find complexity without building something big, by the way.
yeah?
Like you could just, you could like learn to code or you could make something as a hobby, right? Like
Mhm.
that there's there's making things and solving problems, and then there's making a company that's big. And
Mm,
that's
yeah.
just a different thing, honestly. Like, I don't know
Mhm.
how many people want to have a big company. It's not that great, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like
Yeah.
it's hard, it's stressful, and the bigger you get, the harder and more stressful it seems to get. So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
Do you
I
think
don't
that the level that was very good? Do you think that the level that school is at right now, like, do you think companies like, I don't know, Google or Amazon or Tesla or others, do you think it's like completely different level of complexity, or do you think past a certain point it's kind of the same? Or
100%. Like
yeah,
I've got no interest in doing what Elon Musk does.
okay.
Forget that. Right. So I might be doing something that to a lot of people seems challenging, but I've got no interest in that. I
Mm.
don't want to figure out space exploration. Well, I don't want to manufacture a new type of car, to be honest. Like that's something else. Um, and that's what I mean. I don't want to make something that big.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Do
But
you
it might
think
also
it's
be because I'm not interested in that.
mm-hmm,
Like I like cars
mm-hmm,
and but I just have no interest in figuring out production.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Do you think it is more far away to go from like zero to the very big company, a big level, high level that school is at? Or is it, in your opinion, harder to go from where school is it to like, I don't know, um, to a $1 trillion company like Amazon or what would you say?
$1 trillion company. I don't even know how many of those there are these days. Is there
I
like
think
five?
multiple. Yeah, yeah, multiple probably. Yeah, I think so.
Um, so I don't really think it's a question of hardness. It's more of a question of like market size, honestly.
Mm.
So like, you know, Google is like the internet, okay,
Mm-hmm.
pretty big. Um, Apple, it's like an operating system. Microsoft, operating system. So, operating systems, everyone has one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the penetration of computers and phones is 1.5 per person.
Mm.
So,
Okay, interesting.
yeah. So when you can 150% penetrate Earth,
Yeah.
you're going to be worth $1 trillion, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then, what about NVIDIA? Well, that's the graphics card, which is in every damn computer, which there's 1.5 of them. Right? So, like, see what
But
I mean?
school is used by all these devices as well.
Well,
So
I don't know if school will get to 1.5 accounts per person on
no,
Earth.
probably no. Probably no. Yeah.
I don't like what. Yeah. Um, so that's what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Yeah, interesting. But if you look at like, let's say someone like Elon Musk, he probably doesn't love what he does every day. So in his case, it's probably a very big pain or purpose or reason or something that he wants to do or a why that he wants to accomplish. So it's probably
Oh, I think he does
yeah, he
like it.
does. Mm,
Yeah, for certain.
mm,
He's like a builder. I don't think
mm.
he likes a lot of the things that happen as a byproduct of it.
Yeah.
But um,
Yeah.
you can tell no one will bother to learn the details unless they like it, right?
Mhm, mhm. No, that's
Yeah.
true. I think that, yeah, like probably I wouldn't be able to tell if it does or no. It's just that from my perspective, which I'm very far from him, it's like I think how can you enjoy it, right? How can you enjoy that level of complexity or hardship? But if he does it, then probably something keeps him going, which is he finds some excitement in the process, most likely. What do you think is the uh, entrepreneur that you learned the most from? I know you learned from Jeff Bezos from Amazon for the long-term principles, for like just looking at what are the few core things that if you do, like for Amazon, the fastest delivery, the widest selection of products, the cheapest products, etc. And now you kind of implemented that mindset for school, I think. And you also took away some design elements from Tesla, the settings I think you shared before. But what do you think from all these companies? I don't know, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know, um who do you think has the most wisdom to learn from? Like whose lessons were the most applicable for you to when it came to building school that you found the most relevant?
I don't know if I can say one was the best or the most, but like they're all kind of equal. Like, I mean, Google, I learned a ton from
Mm-hmm.
because I just used it and I experienced the internet pre-Google and then the
Mm-hmm.
whole arc of it, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
Google for sure. Um, Facebook for sure, because again, I grew up with it and I was on MySpace and then before that, MSN, right? Um,
I don't even know what those are, by
uh, um,
the way.
And then, forums, I used that before
Mm-hmm.
Facebook
Mm-hmm.
groups, right? And then I
Yeah.
watched Facebook groups come in. So like knowing the history and having been a user of it teaches you a lot, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's like Facebook, there's
Google.
Google, there's Apple, like Steve Jobs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Steve Jobs is pretty good because he's
Mm-hmm.
very obsessed about the product and proves that you don't have to be like a businessman, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
That is really cool. If we sorry to cut you off, if we can focus on that, it's
Aren't the
like
best people not really businessmen?
Mm, they aren't businessmen. That's
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Isn't that
Um,
interesting?
mm, who, for example,
Yeah.
let's say Jeff Bezos,
Like
isn't he a
Elon
businessman?
or
Yeah.
see, Jeff Bezos is more of a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's this side to him too. Like you can see like doing the rocket thing and
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
No, it's
that I
interesting.
think he's got this like just passion for making things and solving problems
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with complexity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if you look at like Zuckerberg, he didn't want to build a business. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and Elon didn't really want to build a business. He wanted to make a car, right, or something.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Jobs didn't really want to make a business. He wanted to make a computer.
Mm.
Um, and so there's definitely a huge lesson in that. The business is like the byproduct, really.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I think you are correct. Like I watch football or soccer a lot. And like for me, the best player is there Messi or like in basketball, it's probably Jordan and others. And I think these people also love the game, right? Like they probably didn't
Did
they
Michael Jordan want to make money? Was he a businessman?
probably not. I think he wanted, but not as the number one priority. No, but he funnily enough, he ended up becoming the richest athlete.
Exactly.
Like 3 or 4 billion, I think. So yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah. No, I think there is some truth to it, definitely. Um, yeah.
They followed their passion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not
At
true.
the highest levels, that's actually what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, in the absence of a passion, you have to invent something, right?
Mm-hmm. Do you
So
still
I
need to
think
be disciplined? Do you think you still need to be disciplined? Because I think by the way, I love this. I love passion. Like I'm passionate about what I do. Like I've stopped other companies that were making me money. I went to zero for several months with Achieve Greatness before
well,
I started making money.
passion
Yeah.
like I love my wife and children, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Does that also require discipline?
Mm. Depends.
What will happen to the love if there isn't some discipline?
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
You see what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay. Yeah. No, I do. I do. That's good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm
Like
asking because I
being
think most.
loyal and faithful, right, with a
Mm.
wife is very
Yes.
important. Same thing
Yeah.
with your passion. If you
Mm.
on your passion, if you're like
Mm.
shopping, um, you won't have that passion.
This is
Um,
actually very good. I've never heard someone explain it this way because most people, when they talk about passion, they think it's like pleasure or like just every day having fun or happiness 24/7 in what you do, right? But sometimes you don't want to work on a certain task or hire someone or do something boring. But you are saying then if you actually love it, you will be disciplined to do these things because one isn't possible without the other.
yeah, and I think maybe you've it requires a lot of I call it like soul searching in a way because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've done so many different things
Mm-hmm.
that it was very hard to find the common thread between them all, which I had to like dig deep into to find like my thing. Because I've done building race cars and rock climbing and Counter-Strike and building computers and making software and doing online courses and things. I've done so much stuff. Um, what is my thing? Um, because maybe you could just say, well, I just want to be able to do like anything or switch between things. But that's actually true. I need to be able to switch between things. But that's why something like school is great because there's so
Mm-hmm.
many things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um,
It's a
but
very good answer, actually.
I
Yeah.
mean, maybe I try not to think too hard about this stuff, like this theoretical thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
because to me, there's just the thing I really like. I like the computer.
Mm-hmm.
I like the internet.
Mm-hmm.
and I like weirdos that are obsessed about weird things, right?
Yeah.
Like beekeeping. If someone
Mhm.
just is obsessed about that, that's really cool, I think. Skateboarding, like even tattooing or graffiti or painting, or I don't care what it is, but I just think there's something really cool when people are really obsessed about something. And I love seeing the subcultures and communities that form around those things. And I
Mhm.
think that's what the internet's great at doing. And I think, and then the computer is what makes the internet possible. So like that whole stack of things, I love that a lot. Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, very good answer. So basically, don't not don't analyze why you like something or like what if you just like it basically, or just pay attention. And if you find something that you like, then just do it basically and do what you really care about.
Yeah. Why are you analyzing things so much? I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like that. I need to know why or like yeah, I
I
get
guess because you're trying to
satisfaction.
teach people or something.
Maybe, maybe.
Yeah.
Like
I
I
think
love
that's
coaching
the
actually.
nice thing. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the nice thing for me about not doing that is because I don't need to think about it. Um,
Oh, that is good.
yeah.
No, I love coaching. Like I love coaching. I was in the US last month and when we went as well, but and I spent time with my family, etc. So I spent less time on business. But once I came back, like there were a few coaching calls scheduled on my calendar. So I wasn't as excited about doing them. But once I did the first one, although I talked a lot during the first hour, like I felt so good. I felt like so purposeful, at least at this stage of my life. So I think I love coaching. I like it. So probably that's why I want to understand why so I can explain. Maybe that's an interesting observation, but I don't know. Yeah. So cool. No, it's a great answer. I actually love that. And also the lesson from this, I think, is like either way, like what is the worst case of you doing something that you love? Like you just enjoy the process, you enjoy the journey, enjoy the climb. It's awesome. And what's the best case scenario? You enjoy the journey and then you also end up building something big, right? Like
I
as
think
we
you're
just
looking at it the
analyzed.
wrong
Yeah.
way. What's the best case scenario of
Mm.
grinding doing something you hate?
Mm.
Still hate it.
Okay, true. Inversion thinking. I like it. Okay.
Well, no, it's interesting that you're looking at this side
Mm.
and analyzing the worst case when the other one's best case sucks.
Mm.
So
No,
yeah,
I never considered doing something I hate. Like I always did something I love actually. So it's
it should
probably
just be common sense,
yeah.
really. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not as common though, by the way. Like from the people I see, that even a
Why?
lot of
Tell
them that
me
have
how,
spoken with.
why is this the case? I don't understand.
Mm, I don't know. I have no clue either. But I think people probably don't trust themselves, or like there's too much noise around them, or they consume too much content. They don't have enough time to really listen what their voice or intuition or feelings are telling them on what is the right path because they just listen to all this conflicting advice on what they should do and kind of to people that have got more authority than them. And I think it just makes them more lost. Probably. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right. Something to do with like social media and living someone else's life,
Hmm.
um, and listening to other people's advice. Yeah, it's hard because you should definitely listen to advice, but it can really get you stuck if you don't listen to your own voice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
True. No, yeah, I agree. I think that is, I don't know, but probably that is the case. It's like people consume too much, and I do as well, but like too much information, and then you don't know, which it's harder to trust yourself, kind of. Um, yeah, interesting. And on this note, like you said about the business, like you basically, from what I see, how you are building school is you are focused on like building the best product for the most people for the cheapest prices or fees, if I'm not mistaken. When did you have that realization? Because I think no one is thinking that way because it's very hard. Like it's way easier. Let's say a lot of people watching this will be school community owners, coaches, consultants, creators, whatever, right? It's so much harder to focus on how do I make the best thing versus what content should I post to make a sale, right? In that stages, like it's so much easier to, or at least that's what I think. It's so much harder to focus on how can I actually build the most valuable thing? Because sometimes there's this, like, it's not as intuitive. It makes a lot of sense that if you do a lot of good, it comes back to you. But did you always have that, or was it more in the beginning, let's say with the consulting company, focus on marketing and sales and learning skills and getting clients, and then over time, once you have some momentum and you have some feedback, you focus more on, and you actually have the resources, build something really meaningful that is going to be the best product out there. Would you say you should focus on that from the very beginning? Did you focus on that for very beginning for consulting.com or school or both, or was it different for these two companies? And what you optimize for in the beginning, sales or marketing, or actually thinking this carefully of what are the few variables that school has, Amazon has, other companies has, that if you just do that, then everything else becomes kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, I think you should always look for the things. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, car racing, it was weight and
Mm-hmm.
horsepower,
Mm-hmm.
right? Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
there's handling and things too,
Mm-hmm.
and talent at actually racing, but the raw math of the machine is like it's horsepower to weight ratio, actually, right? Um, and so like fees, price, weight, and power is like product and things, right? Like, so how can I make something really powerful, really good, and make it really cheap? So like, plus people like those things, right? I can't imagine people coming up to me and thanking me, saying, "Thank you, Sam, for making school so expensive," right? Um, so it's pretty much, and it's not going to change. Like AI is not going to change that. You know, nothing's going to change the fact that people feel good when they pay less money for something. Um, so it's forever.
Mm-hmm.
And good stuff. People love good stuff. People aren't going to
Mm-hmm.
say, "Oh, fuck, I love this thing. It's so shit."
Mm.
Um, right?
But most people
So
don't think that way, though, do they? Like most companies, they don't think that way. They just think about how to make as much money as possible in a month or in a year, or
yeah,
at
but
least not.
then they just fail.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the classic example of like a lot of these old chocolate companies, like Hershey's and whatever, there's a bunch of other ones. Um, but you know, they just kept the real ingredients out and replacing it with palm oil and crap to
Mm-hmm.
make it cheaper. So they were like literally making it worse and making it more expensive at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
while just stripping out the quality to make them more money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Boeing is a famous example of that. So Boeing
Yes.
airplanes used to have the
Yes.
mission statement to make the world's best airplane. That's why people join Boeing to make the world's best airplanes. They did. They were the most valuable company on earth when they had that as their mission. Someone changed it to like maximize shareholder value, right? They did that and now they suck. Um, so, you know, like making something good and delivering it at a good price is, and I think, you know, people might get confused when you're in services though,
Mm-hmm.
because when it's a product, it can be a lot more clearly defined.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But with services, it's kind of the same in a way too. Like I think the talent of the person is the quality of the product, right?
Mm.
So if I'm in services, all I'm going to think is how can I just be the best at what I do? Because if you do
Mm.
that, you don't even need to do anything else. You don't need a website. You don't need social media. You don't need to do
Mm.
any marketing. Everyone will want to hire you,
Mm-hmm.
and you will only be able to work with a few people anyway,
Mm. It's
right?
so good. It is. You predicted my next question, which is like if you are into service or like coaching or consulting, or because a lot of people watching this are right. What, including me, what would be, yeah, that, and it is becoming the best
Talent.
question. Yeah, talent is becoming better. Interesting. Was that what you were focused on in consulting.com? I have seen you in your previous YouTube videos, which you don't love as much, but they were really good. Okay. You used to say in that videos, in one of them, that you are optimizing for client results, right? So like would that
I
be
think the
something?
reason why the videos were good and stuff is because partly because I like didn't want to make them, and I spent all my time like trying to find better ways of doing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can I run this business with less parts,
Mm-hmm.
less complexity, less people, more profit margins, less stress, like trying to find this optimal configuration.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would just, and I might spend a year like tweaking things, finding this thing, and then I'd just be like, hey, look, here's what I found. And then it works because
Mm-hmm.
because
It
of
was based on real
yeah,
experience.
yeah, exactly. So, but if you do like making videos
Mm-hmm.
too,
Mm-hmm.
those videos will be way more successful because there's little things you can do, like the thumbnails and titles and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I do think that if you're in services, talent's the most important thing. In fact, talent is the most important thing anyway, even when you're trying to make a product, because it's talent that makes the product, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're like young and wondering what you should do, like just get really good at something that you like. If you're a great editor, like video editor, great skill. If you're great at making content or designing or coding or you know all kinds of things, right? Even sales, marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No,
And
it's
then
a very
yeah,
good answer. Yeah.
if you're
Go ahead.
really good at doing something, you'll be able to make the best course. You'll crush on YouTube without even trying,
Mm-hmm.
all right? Because
Yes.
yeah. So I think people can get a little bit confused with that. And that's actually why I like to kind of subtract it from the equation. I'm like, how do I not do it and still succeed?
Mm. Actually, you are right. Like, I think that everyone that is actually very, very good at what they do, they always have more demand than they can handle, and they just keep, I don't know, either increasing prices or like they just like that's what happens, right? All the time. So I think it's a good indication. It's a great answer because most people, a lot of people watching this are gonna be again creators, coaches, consultants, school community owners, etc., entrepreneurs, and a lot of them are focused on the tactics, right? Like, what's the tactic? Should I post like 5-second Instagram reels or 7 second or like this? But if you just spend all that time and obsession on as a priority to actually becoming very good at what you do, I think it's the one thing that kind of affects everything else that you do. If you then will make Instagram reels, they will be better because you are better and your like advice or tips or strategies are better, right? So would that be your number one advice to entrepreneurs, community owners, creators watching this? Like, be the best, like, and how someone does that though, like, is it a repetition, is it again coming back, probably loving what you do,
Time.
so you actually time. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always time. But in order to do the time, you tend to it needs to be something you want to do, you enjoy doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a combination of those things. I think it's actually natural. Like if you love playing Counter-Strike, you're going to clock up those hours fast without trying, right? And
Mm-hmm.
what's going to happen is as a byproduct of you liking Counter-Strike, well, you're going to clock hours and you're going to be good,
Mm-hmm. No,
right?
that's
So
good. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. I think this is really very good answer. Would you say that, like, if you start, I know that I don't know, maybe you will have a different perspective on this, but if someone is watching this, because I think less people watching this would be interested in building a multi-billion-dollar startup, which school is gonna be. And more people will be interested in, I think a lot of people watching this aren't as much beginners, so they would maybe be people making 10K a month, 20, 30, 50 that want to scale to 100 or scale from 100K plus more. And let's assume that they love what they do. They're passionate about it because for full transparency, most people watching this are gonna love what you do because that's what I talk about all the time and that's what we attract. So let's say that they already like what they do and they want to scale and build something big like you did with the consulting company. What would be a few like pillars that you would recommend them to focus if they already have a niche, they love what you do? If you started again in today's marketplace, would you focus on becoming the best, right, at solving the problem, the talent, improving yourself? What would be other few pillars you would focus on, like brand, content creation, either probably
I
partnering
would
up
just
with
get
someone?
get really good, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Get really good at what you do. And if you really think you're that good, improve the industry for everyone.
How does someone do it? It's like through products, through content, through trainings, through
Well, that depends on
yeah.
what needs to be done,
Mm.
right?
So let's say you started in the same niche, like you started in uh, helping consultants scale, and you are not gonna build a product. How would you do it? Would it be, yeah, trainings, courses, videos? How would you go about it?
Well, I would be like, why can't they scale? What
Mm-hmm.
is the problem?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Most of the time, traffic, so they don't have traffic. Like it's a little bit unrealistic, I think, and maybe it's a limiting belief, but don't you think it's a little bit unrealistic for everyone to become the best at what they do? So probably a lot of them will still need some more traffic and marketing skills and other things to be
But
able
didn't
to.
we just kind of say before that they wouldn't even need traffic if they were talented?
Hmm. Yeah, what if they are not talented and they want to scale?
Maybe that's the problem.
Hmm. Okay.
Maybe they don't even like what they do, and that's why they're not talented.
Hmm. Okay. Let's say they
See, if
like what they
they're
do.
feeling
Let's say
it,
they like what they do and they are talented. What else would you focus on? Because I think
maybe
you are
they
right, but I
do it
think
more. They just need to keep going, do it
keep going.
more.
Okay, that's a good answer. Okay,
Well, I didn't
and
do
we
shit for at least a year. Like I
yeah.
didn't make any money for at least a year.
Mm-hmm.
I think I basically sucked for the first 10. And then
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, it
For the
took me
first 10.
almost 15 years to get good.
Mm-hmm.
And then who knows what I'll think in another 5 or 10. I might think, shit, I wasn't really that good then, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people haven't seen what good really looks like. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's actually the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you're making me think about it,
Yeah.
it's that people think they're good,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe they aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's the problem. And the
Yeah.
only because it's you don't know what hot or cold is without contrast, comparison, right? And so, and I do remember reading this somewhere. It was like experiencing great
Mm-hmm.
is one of the most important things. It's like you can only, whenever you're making something, you're drawing from this library of information you have internally, right? So art, like if you're making art, you've looked at art. If you're writing, you've read, and if you haven't consumed the best, you don't really know what good looks like. Um, and so, and I've always had a natural kind of pull to this. Like, I don't even care what it is, even if it's not relevant. I'm really curious about what the like forefront of something is like. Like, what is the, I do this with like music, for example. I have the best speakers in the world. I actually went to the effort of finding them. The ones they use at like the best recording studios in the world, like Abbey Road and things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I wanted to experience what my favorite music sounds like on the best speakers in the world, and if I could tell the difference,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because there's
Mm-hmm.
this gap, but most people don't know that it's just music, it's just sound,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of detail in there. And then, like, why is some music better than other music? Like, what went into making that? Or even with food. And I found I hate cooking and I'm not a big foodie, but I still was curious about what went into making the best restaurant. And do
Mm-hmm.
you know what I found? It's
What?
soil. Like, so the best restaurants in the world own their own farms. And they
Interesting.
chose their farms based on the soil.
Okay.
What
Interesting.
makes the best farm? The best soil.
Mm-hmm.
So, it
What
comes
makes the
back.
best soil? Let's go.
It's like biodiversity over time. So, like, if it's been a monoculture, like
Mm-hmm.
pesticide farm, that soil's wrecked, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's been a concrete tennis court and they ripped it up, now they're trying to put a terrible. But if it's been this like very healthy, diverse ecosystem of things, animals, plants, water, like bees, all of that crap, and no one's put like pesticides on it, then there's a lot of like richness in the soil, like worms and layers of decomposing
Mhm.
things, which creates like nutrients in life. And then obviously when you put animals on there and they eat it, their meat is better and right
Mhm.
all the way through.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think, and then I looked at like Leonardo da Vinci in painting. He learned chemistry just so he could mix his own pigments and for his paints. And he dissected eyes at the morgue just so he could understand light and how it
Mhm.
like refracts. So he could, so, this is the kind of thing I'm getting at. It's when you explore the best and what goes into it, I think what you find is the same thing. It's just vast depth. And those people just went a lot further,
Push
right?
everyone. Yeah.
Like, you might get into making food, a restaurant, but you're like, you never thought you needed to have a farm.
Mhm.
Um, you
Yeah.
might have a farm, but you might have chose the wrong soil, right? Like it's just, and I think, and I found this with race car drivers, with like everything, honestly. It's just there's a lot of depth and a lot of like obsession, and they're pushing the field forward. So it's like because of them, the whole industry moved forward, right? Because they're at the forefront of it. Um, and so yeah, I would really like just look at what you're passionate about. And that can take some time. Like you're not just going to sit down with ChatGPT and figure that one out.
Mhm.
Um, in fact, that might make it a lot harder. Um,
Yes.
and so, you know, find the thing you're passionate about. There's a lot of clues in your life if you look back. Um, and then if you do that, then you'll probably want to do it and do it a lot. And if you do that, you'll probably be very good. And if you really love it, you might go quite far. Yeah. And it's okay if you aren't like not everyone can be the best. But that's totally fine because I don't think most people want to anyway if they're really
Mhm.
like honest. Because of what goes into it. They care more about other things.
Mhm.
That's totally fine too. You don't have to be. You can still be really talented at something and not be the best. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, I love the depth of your answers. It's really very helpful. I think that one thing that stood out to me, which is interesting, is I do love what I do. And like it's not even a question. I actually made this mistake two times. So I started with faceless YouTube channels. I was making like multi five figures a month when I was like 19, 20. Now I'm 22, soon to be 23. And I hated it. I just wanted to like stop. It wasn't fulfilling. Then I found another business. I grew it and I stopped it again. And now only from the third time I was smart enough to start achieve greatness, which I love. But one thing that really helped me a lot as well when you were talking is like you mentioned these two or more times today, which is moving the industry forward. That is a really interesting thing to say because I have to admit like I was quite selfish before this interview because I was thinking, oh, like my company, my clients. I was still thinking about doing what I love, maximizing the client results, and that's by doing more good, how that's what's gonna be good for me as well. But I was always like looking at myself as like, that's just me and my company and my clients, right? But that's interesting when you say industry. Like I haven't thought about it, but that actually is motivating. Just the thought of that you can do something that can have some impact on the industry itself. Like it is really, it makes me think even like wider or bigger, if that makes sense. A little bit less selfish of, my company, my clients, but how do I maybe do things that advances the industry? That's really interesting. How did you first for example, let me ask you this. You have now we have school, and there are of course some like competitors, which I don't think there's any competitor that's gonna be close to school when it comes to communities. But like, do you want to move the industry forward as well, or like do you compete with them? Like you don't care about them, as Jeff Bezos says, don't care about the competition, care about the clients. How do you balance all these ideas?
Well, I think school is kind of changing some things about how
Mm-hmm.
this is done, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's probably fixing a lot of things that were like complicated, unnecessary, maybe weird. I
Mm-hmm.
do think if we're successful, we're going to increase the size of this market,
Mm-hmm.
right? Make it more mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
make it so more people can participate, right? Make it more fun,
Mm-hmm.
make it more efficient, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, already you need a lot less tools.
100%. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
So
I've
like
used
it
it
is,
myself, by the way. I've used
yeah.
all the
So
tools
just
and
as a byproduct of making it, is aren't
yeah.
we kind of doing that?
No, you are. That is true. So like you focus on the product and on the what the customer wants so much that it kind
No,
of
it's
sets
a
the
it's a bit
standard.
this is where it gets nuanced because if you just
Mm-hmm.
listen to what people want, it'll stay
Mm.
the same.
Okay. Interesting. So who do you
I'll
listen to?
just
Your
build what?
intuition?
Kajabi and ClickFunnels and things if I just build
Mm-hmm.
everything people want, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
sometimes you have to change people's behavior, which is always hard.
Henry Ford, if I asked people what they wanted, they would say faster horses. I think he said something like that.
Yeah. So,
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
you've got to change things a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah. But that's where I think the mastery part comes in. Um, like I think I forget where I read this, but it was some like, to get good, you've got to get good at like copying in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But to master something, you have to break the rules
Mm-hmm.
and be more successful than the people that copy them.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very hard, like, um,
Thing to do.
thing to do. Yeah, because that is the best way for a reason.
Yeah, good.
Because it's the best way that someone's found so far. Um, yeah.
So you need to be contrarian a little bit, maybe. Break things down to the first principles and
Well, I don't like
uh,
just being. I don't really like the word contrarian because it means like you
just for the
kind of
sake of
taking
it.
the
Yeah.
opposite side.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
but because sometimes the way things are
Mm-hmm.
is totally fine,
Mm-hmm.
and let's not fuck with that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's just
Mm-hmm.
like we use US dollars and credit cards and bank accounts. I'm like not in a hurry to just to like to mess with that, right? Um,
Yeah.
we so yeah,
Is
we
it when you feel
don't.
frustration? Is it when you feel frustration from the market or you as a user maybe don't feel like then how do you know what to change and what is worth messing up with? What do you think school has done that was from all the things it's done was the biggest differentiator that was different than how things were done before that?
So far, I think there's been a few. One is like this whole thing around funnels.
Mm-hmm.
I think once we proved that you could just send traffic to an about page and it would
Mm-hmm.
actually outperform, that
Mm-hmm.
changed a lot because
Yeah.
it kind of just gets rid of this concept of a website
Mm-hmm.
and a funnel and kind of an email list and a form and all of that. And that's a lot of weight just gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you just delete your website,
Yeah.
that's quite freeing,
I
honestly.
don't have one actually. I own achievegreatness.com. It goes to my free school community.
Yeah.
Achievegreatness.com.
And I own samovens.com. You should go to that and see where it goes.
Okay, let's do it.
Um, because
Uh,
even I went through that. I always had this website, and it's always this thought like, oh, what's on there? I've got to like update it. Oh, it's out of date. Like, what am I going to say there?
oh,
It's
your
on
school profile.
WordPress.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
just getting rid of that was quite nice. And if you think about it, school doesn't even really have a website. Um,
Mm.
so just getting rid of that, getting rid of like funnels. I deleted my email list. I don't send emails. It's really nice.
You
Um,
deleted your email list.
I
What do you
downloaded
mean?
it into a CSV file
Okay,
first,
yeah, yeah.
put it in Google Drive, and then deleted Active Campaign and
Okay, got
stopped
it.
paying them like 2.5 grand a month.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so getting rid of all of that is really nice. Then I think the business model is quite fundamental. So like pushing more on recurring instead of one time, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's quite a fundamental change.
Mm-hmm.
It also introduces this whole new idea of churn, which was never even a thought. Because so that's a very fundamental change. Because if your people are just selling one time, they're always on to their next launch. But when people sell recurring, their number one thing is churn. And is
Mm-hmm.
that better for the customer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually very smart. I agree.
Yeah. So by making some of these choices and also removing all of these possibilities, like no website, no funnel, no email list, just land them in their community talking to their customer and show them churn. It kind of nudges them to listen to them and make it better and to make that number go down and then their income goes up. So it's like trying to remove the distractions and give them the thing to focus on and in a way that's better for them and their customer in a way. And the things we're doing recently, it's like discovery and now suggested communities in the
Mm-hmm.
sidebar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, if we succeed in this, you might not even need to do any marketing.
I mean, already 20 something percent comes from Skool. The
Some groups
traffic
get 100% of their members from discovery.
Skool. Mm-hmm.
Um, Even some of the top ones get up to 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so right now it's a tailwind. It's the only stream to some communities, but that's still better than no tailwind, right?
Of course.
Yeah. But you can see what I'm getting at. It's
Yes.
like, what if all you need to be is passionate about something?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
What if that takes care of everything else?
Yeah. This was very good. I love it. Yeah. True. I think in school, I think from my perspective, I think I agree. Probably always when something like when new companies arise, right? They usually are a little bit less customer centric and they just do the minimum required work to just like, because it's something new and like they kind of get by. And I think over time, someone comes that just puts the value first and crushes everyone. Like you can look at BlackBerry, Nokia, and how iPhone kind of took over. Or like maybe, I think for like online stores or websites and how Amazon crushed it, or like how YouTube crushed all the other video streaming services. Or I think Skool probably has done and continues every day to do that to the online education community kind of, creator economy space. Because back then, all these companies, they kind of made not bad products, right? It was better than nothing. It definitely helped some people. But then over time, they focused more towards them and their valuation probably and other things. And Skool just came and said, hey, why should we charge a lot of fees? Let's minimize it, right? Why should we give all these complicated things to people? Let's actually remove the most options so people don't have to choose. So it is simple. So we increase the chances that they actually use the features we do have and they succeed. Let's actually help our members to send them some traffic. Let's actually incentivize people to have good communities by ranking the best ones, right? And all these things kind of show that I agree that those things are definitely very noticeable in the whole industry now. And even from others like companies or softwares or whatever, a lot of them, they either like try to just copy a lot of the features, which is fine, or um they basically it's like desperate attempts of just um find some sort of another shortcut to win. But I think they won't win, right? No matter what they do, no matter what they focus on, at the end it will come to just being the most valuable like tool or company or product to the customers, and that's what Skool is doing. And I think it's very hard to do, and I'm really surprised how consistently you have been doing it for the past years. How consistently, like, because it's not just one thing, right? Like you keep doing it. Like you just released another tier for Skool for people don't know, and it's just $9 a month. So it's actually more affordable now for some tier, instead of just saying how do we make another plan for 1,000 a month.
That was
Maybe
the week after. That was the week after we dropped native video.
yeah. Which was very good as well, by the way. The native video, the
Yeah.
speed is like compared to Loom or to YouTube or to anything else, that's crazy. That really is. Like, yeah. Back then you needed so many tools instead of Skool. So many tools. Like I mean, I think you don't need anything else now, almost for school. Like payments,
Live
email
streaming,
lists,
live stream, yeah.
live streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apple
I mean, I
Pay,
think
if you
the
want to do
YouTube
so.
channel is great, like a couple of social profiles. Like
Of
even
course.
we have school news. Like,
Yes,
why
of
not?
course.
I love YouTube.
Distribution.
Um,
Yeah.
but I also just like the platform and the culture and
Hmm.
what people do on there. Um, and school can't like live on its own, just like YouTube can't live on its own. There's other parts to the ecosystem, like the browser, the internet, the
Hmm.
computer, right? Um, so yeah, I think there's a very natural fit with the YouTube channel in a school community, or like
Hmm.
a social profile in a school community.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think that's kind of where things are headed. Like people just have a social profile in a community, or maybe a few social profiles in a community.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. And then it's just like the only factor that I think that is possible for people to lose is that they do something they don't like or don't love. Like because if they are trying to shortcut the process, right? Like just pretend to be someone they are not, or to be in a niche that like they're just trying to like basically almost manipulate someone to joining their program or course or community. That's the only way that it won't work because the
That's
essence
why
won't be
for me,
strong.
I can't,
Yeah,
it's got to be pure. Like I can't
yeah,
make content about it
yeah,
unless I've done it. And
yeah,
so I just forget about making content until
mhm,
I'm like thoroughly immersed in it.
yeah,
But again, that requires trade-offs. Like
mhm,
maybe you're delaying how long it's going to take before you
mhm,
make some money. But I just always want to do it right. And I think when you do it that way, you do go further and um, you end up being better. But the short term is what I think
that's hard. Yeah.
it's the thing that trips everyone up.
And you share the advice, right? Like have another, like minimize the expenses and have another way to make money by the meantime, whether it's a job, it's
Cutting costs is
working with
the
someone. Yeah.
easiest way. Like live simple life, not much money to live. Very, I still do that, right? Because it's why not? It's then the yeah, sometimes it means having a job too. Um, because if you've got a family, you can't do what I did in my early days, which was live with my parents and cut my costs because you've got people that depend on you, right? So you've either got to raise some money or you've got to like get a job or like do something on the side. Like, yeah, I think if you're ignoring those things never leads to anything good. Like if the sooner you address those things, like that's where your next breakthrough really is. Yeah.
100%. It's such a good advice. That's actually, by the way, how I grew on school. Like I went to communities. I actually cared about it. I started giving value, and then people said, "Hey, like, would you be our like, would you start doing calls in my community? Like, people want you back or this, that." And like, I got into some of the biggest communities on school. It was almost a year ago, and I was just helping people there, and they were saying, "Oh, this is great. Can you do more?" And I was loving it, and I wasn't even charging for that. Now, of course, I knew that later I'm gonna charge for it. It helps me also in the long term. I had a strategy, but it was that's how I grew because it was like I really cared and the foundation was there, and that's what stood out. And then now people are coming to me. Actually, I had a call yesterday where someone said, "Hey, how did you grow on school so quickly? Like, what should I post on school for someone to become a client?" And I said, I didn't even think about that, to be honest. I wanted to get clients from that community, but my time frame was a year, not this week or this day or this month. And I also had the privilege, though, that I did make money from the previous businesses that was enough for me in living in my country to not worry about it, right? And before that, I was living with my parents. So yeah, that's interesting. It's like minimizing the cost, so you don't have to make the short-term decisions. You don't have to look for the shortcuts, but you actually give yourself time to build things the correct way. Because if you don't build it the correct way, it's just a matter of time when it falls, right? Like either your competition will be stronger and like they will beat you, either you'll get probably demotivated and you will stop and you will quit. Like most of the time something will happen, something, unless like someone is a complete psychopath that is 100% materialistic and doesn't care. Maybe, I mean, for a short time it will work, but I think long term
Well, it's the
it's a,
compounding thing, right?
yeah,
Like people don't know that. Like you've seen in the past like 2 weeks or 3 weeks how much stuff school can
that's
do
crazy.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You couldn't do that much stuff in a year at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Um, so we just are able to move faster. And also doing like unlimited native video and slashing the price to 9, forget that at the beginning. Like, good luck figuring out those economics. Um, then so like there's the compounding gives you, that's where all the mastery comes from. Even like I think it took us 4 years to get 1 million users, and now it takes 20 days. And it just keeps getting faster. Right. So like, but people see that now and they're like, oh, that's awesome. But it took almost 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
I had already been working in this industry for like
10
8.
plus. Oh, eight?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Something, I think I've been doing business how many years? Let me figure this out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's about to be 15 years.
15. Crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's
And I
how long it
honestly
usually
didn't
takes,
get
right?
good. I didn't get even what I would call kind of good until 10.
10. Mm. Interesting.
And even now, when I look back to where I was when I started school, I don't think I was that good. And that was after 10 years of experience. So it takes time to get good.
And at that time, you were, by the way, what, like at the top of the consulting industry, though. And you are saying that at that time, online consulting, you weren't as good even. So just for context,
Oh,
right?
I was all right at being an operator, but to
No, you were
change that,
better than other people, the most of the competition, but probably not as good as you are now.
yeah. Um, yeah, just time. It takes time to be good at something.
What do you think practically is the biggest difference between that some ovens that, made like multi-eight figures with consulting.com and then nowadays some ovens of school, like these past 6 years, basically? Because you were very successful 6 years ago as well, compared to 99.99999% of the
Well, I've
entrepreneurs.
got a different business, right? Like I
Mhm.
was like I had
Consultant.
clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had clients. I made content. I made trainings. Now I just build the containers for those things, right? Um, so yeah, it's different.
So is it just the vehicle that's different, or do you think you got better as well, or it's both maybe?
Better at what?
I don't know anything, but is there any big difference that you notice between you now and 6 years ago? I think now you make things more fun, for example. Probably that's a big one, or maybe something else.
It's not about me. Like this business isn't being like it's
Mm-hmm.
not about me or my ideas or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm kind of behind the scenes
Mm-hmm.
and I make the thing for these other people to shine on,
Mm-hmm.
right? So yeah, and I think that's much better suited to me, my personality and what I like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you basically moved towards more product, you would say, during the past
Yes,
six.
and
Yeah.
not being a like celebrity.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons you did partner with Hormozi. That
Yeah.
Hormozi can do it, can be the marketing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And why, really curious about this, why did you go with Hormozi? Is it like, because I know that I think Hormozi shared, or you, that publicly, that both of you have been talking for a few years about that. And I think Hormozi he was relatively smaller than he is now, although he was obviously very successful. But what made you be interested in him? What did you see in
Well, you
him
just hear,
specifically?
I'd hear about him all the time, like people saying, Hormozi said this, Hormozi said that, Hormozi's new book,
Yeah.
Hormozi's law. I mean, Hormozi's launch was really the thing. I was like, whoa, everyone is like tuned into this.
Hmm.
I was like, I haven't seen that happen before. And so I was like, well, I want to use that.
Hmm.
Yeah. I was like, I can make use of that.
Hmm.
Um, and then, and we're like perfect partnership because you can't do both. Yeah. I sacrificed all like content online to build this. And so um it's a perfect partnership. So it's kind of obvious, honestly. Like, yeah.
I think it was. You know why? At least for me, but um I think that of course it took longer than like most people think, and there's a lot like there's hard things about it probably too, just in terms of the deal. But I remember it was before the announcement, I think a month ago, I actually sat down and I was writing down like who I basically I wanted to learn from, like who I just respect the most, who I want to learn the most from. And I had this list of like 10 mentors or something online. And I said, no, like this is too much. Like if I listen to these many people, who are the people that everyone else references? And I wrote down Sam Ovens and Alex Hormozi. I swear, two people. I said, I'm going to listen to these two people, and that's it. After that, 2 to 3 weeks from that, Hormozi made the announcement. There was no clue. I didn't know. I'm not saying that's why you partner up. No, but like it was so like such a good combination for me. Like in my mind, this is like the two people, and that was so good to see that you kind of came together. I think that it was a very good, um, kind of a very good fit. So that's actually pretty cool. Would you say then for most people to go either like all in on kind of like Hormozi and building brand and traffic and being at what they do, or like product? Because you said you can't do both. Or do you think you can do both? It's just that if
That is
yeah.
Hormozi's product,
Mm.
right? Like that
His content?
well, actually, I would say his main, no, I think if you really think about it, his
Yeah.
main thing is his talent, right? Why
Mm.
does anyone give a shit about Hormozi? Because
Mm-hmm.
he's good at business.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, if he wasn't, nothing else would work. So I think, and why is it, how do people know? Well, because of progression, right? He continues to
Well.
progress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's the most important thing. If that's not there, nothing else works. That's actually what makes everything work. So then what's next? Well, I would say like his books, right? And then it's the content around that. Um, and so at the far ends of it, he needs to understand things like hooks and 3 second view through rates and thumbnails and retention and he needs to do all of that. But that's just the thing that makes it pop at the end. But like the books, I don't think it would work well without the books. And it absolutely everything would not work without his talent at the core.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like yeah, if you think about it, you are so correct. Like first of all, I think I heard about him first time several years ago through someone else telling me about his book. I think that's when he blew up as well in term on content. And you are right. Like what is his book? His ideas, his experience, his frameworks. How does he have them? Because he made them. He's actually good. He is talented. So it kind of all stems from that, which is interesting. Yeah, no, I think it's a good lesson.
Yeah.
Would your like final advice for people be like in terms of the talent, let's say, and passion, to kind of summarize this, maybe there's some other things you want to add, maybe not, but um like basically do something you're passionate about so that you want to do it, so you do it, so you do it for a long time, so you have enough time to get good, so you become talented, and if you are talented, everything else becomes easier. Would that be a good summary of it, or would you add anything to this?
Well, I think the thing that trips everyone up is like this whole advice thing. First of all, I'm not trying to give any advice,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
people should do what the hell they want.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and maybe there's just things I say that people like and they pick some of those. But
Mm-hmm.
this is where I swear there's a trap because Hormozi believes some very different things to me, and he
Mm-hmm.
says very different things to me.
Mm-hmm.
Someone actually mentioned me in a post the other day, and they're like, Hormozi said passion doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Sam's, and I was like, oh my God, this is so like, who cares really? Like, because we believe very different things, but still we are both successful and we actually make the best partnership because of that. So that's the question you really need to start asking yourself is
Why
why
does
can
that
someone
matter?
do the opposite thing of someone else's advice and still succeed? Like
Mm.
maybe there isn't maybe this whole
Mm.
like one best way is actually the problem,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the answer is to find your own one.
Mm.
You can find things from Hormozi and some things from Steve Jobs and some things from here and whatever you want. Um, yeah, that would be my advice is not to take
Advice.
advice to,
It's still an advice though. There you go. To not
well, then
take advice.
maybe if you apply my own advice here, you shouldn't even listen to me,
But then I shouldn't listen to this advice
which
that
I
you
would
just
agree
gave me.
with actually.
Yeah.
Like, what, like, because I think you have to develop your own tastes
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and until you do that, you'll never be that good. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. True. But I think on that one specific example, although I agree with you, probably doesn't matter. It's like Hormozi does love what he does though. Like he says, I like, and I love Hormozi, by the way. He changed my life. He says like he he loved fitness. He got into fitness, grew a fitness business. He loves business. That's why he's doing business all the time. And then, so I think it's kind of a, he does like what he does, like why he keeps going then. He does like it. So he's kind of passionate. I think we're talking about the same things, just people describe it differently. And I think you talked about this too, that like words are not enough to describe reality. Like they are too simple, you know? So I think it's kind of the same concept or similar, but we just
Yeah, what if
name
his
it.
passion is success, right?
Hmm.
Success is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's where it's confusing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because in order to do what you love, you've got to do something that's hard. In order to do what's hard, you've got to like grind, you know, so it's just nuanced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I don't really like giving advice because, you know, it's complicated, it's nuanced, and almost anything can work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what I without you trying to give advice, what I took out of that is like if you look at people that have the opposite things and both are successful, then maybe both works is kind of the biggest proof there is. Like if someone says that this matters, someone else says that it doesn't, and they are both winning by some criteria that everyone probably decides, but then maybe that is not the factor because there are like the proof is that there are other people doing it differently and still getting the outcome. So if you want to get the outcome, if that's the goal, then you can do it differently too. Is that what you're saying? Is that why giving advice is hard? Because you can always find the opposite and that will be
I
true.
joke with Kirby sometimes. I think he's
Yeah.
learned now, but this I work with him, by the way, for people wondering.
Yeah.
But at the start, he would always be like, "Is there a framework or is there a concept?" And I was like, "Look, this is the framework. The only framework you need to know. It's called the go at it framework, right? You've got like the problem, and you just go at it,
Yeah.
and it just do that, and then just figure it out. Like, don't
Yeah.
get too theoretical about it.
Mm. Just do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, there's many ways to say it, but that's what I do. I don't stop and get some books. I don't like look for some concepts or some articles. In fact, if I do that, I honestly just get more confused. I just dive
Mm.
in.
Mm.
Yeah. And then, you know, one thing leads to another and leads to another and you know, it's kind of messy, but yeah, that's it just works. Just go at the problem and figure it out. Yeah.
Awesome. So to finish this off, so today is July 11th, 2025. Like if you had to, and I know you don't like predictions or like you don't want to talk about maybe some features or things which I don't want to ask as well, but um, would you give some like any predictions of what do you think school will be at like in the next few years? No guarantee, no expectation, like like just what do you think is gonna happen? What would be some, I don't know, teasing the people watching this? Like what, I don't know, something to expect or something.
The only things I know for sure is we will just keep making it better.
Hmm. And everything else will happen as a byproduct, probably.
I hope so.
No, it will. It will. I can tell you. I know that you are very careful with your words, and That is good, but from my
You don't
perspective,
you don't want to jinx things.
yeah. No, I will say it. I think that seeing how much like I think that
I don't even want you to say it.
oh,
I
okay.
just we'll just keep making the product better.
Okay, that sounds good. Let's keep making it better. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean for it's a very good way to end it. So yeah, hope people found this valuable. I appreciate you for coming on, Sam. I know you don't do this often, so it really means a lot. And I personally enjoyed it a lot, so I'm sure people did as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks.
Of course.
See ya.
Bye. See you.